Welcome to our 29th episode of Black Dance Stories and our final episode from our month of stories by performers, educators. Oh, it's kind of a sad goodbye. Here's a note about why we are here. Our dance world was pummeled by COVID-19, and Black dance artists are finding ways to talk about life during this time. Our world was further turned upside down after horrible events ensued nationally and globally, bringing attention yet again to the need for the Black Lives Matter movement. Black dance artists have not been quiet. Black dance artists have been doing the work. Black dance artists continue to make work. To stay involved, we hold these weekly impromptu discussions and tell stories. Black dance stories. And as promised, this is one action and we will stay involved. We proudly are a community working together to support, uphold, highlight, and celebrate Black creators. Tonight is our 29th episode of what we hope will be many stories told in the artist's own voices. Tonight, it's Earl Mosley, Dr. Halifu Osumare, and Coco Killingsworth's turn. Please meet some of our BDS team. I will go first. I am Charmaine Warren. I am a Jamaican. I am the great-granddaughter of Ida Boyd, granddaughter of Solomon Goldson and Ruby Chapman, and one of 9 children by Theophilus Warren and my 95-year-old mother, Pearline Warren, who lives in Jamaica. I am a non-disabled Black woman. With the utmost respect to the Native people, I acknowledge that I live on the stolen land of the indigenous Lenape people, now known as Montclair, New Jersey, with my husband, photographer and graphic artist, Tony Turner. Our daughter, Ashe Turner, a Black ballerina with locks, is in her junior year at Boston Conservatory. I have locks that are wrapped on top of my head in a Black gele. I'm wearing a gray long sleeve sweater with buttons down the front and large silver Adinkra earrings. Behind me are photos of our family, a large plant, a lamp, and African masks. Happy Black Dance Stories Thursday to each of you, our BDS family. All of us are always so humbled that you decide to show up each week. And as always, we ask you to please spread the word. I turn it over to Kimani.
Thank you, Charmaine. And yes, as you know, welcome back, number 29. In the words of Gloria Grimes, delicious, delightful dancing night. The importance of acknowledging our familial and dance legacies is an essential tradition. And in keeping with the tradition, I recognize my Indigenous brothers and sisters with profound respect. I honor and acknowledge the Lenni Lenape, whose stolen land I am zooming from, currently known as the village of Harlem. I am a Black non-disabled woman and I live with my 10-year-old son. I am sitting in my dining room with white walls behind me. I have a golden low-cut hairstyle. I am wearing a white long-sleeve shirt with green and blue stripes. And I'm wearing, of course, my silver BDS hoop earrings. I am the granddaughter of Lucille Madison, a wise and giving English professor. I teach because of her. Daughter of Ronald Augustus Fowlin, Jamaican warrior and gourmet chef, and Anne Fowlin, rebel and Renaissance woman. I dance because of them. My son Tamayo keeps me present, and I'm witnessing this growing boy. I am in awe of his amazing talents and his blossoming spirit. So with that, I turn it over to Makeda.
Hi, everyone. My name is Makeda. My full name is Makeda Lily and Wabunkosi Margurose Roni.
Yes.
I am in this human experience as a non-disabled Black Indigenous American woman. Pronouns she, her, hers, and they in acknowledgement of my ancestors and my spirit team that is all around me and that is also me. I come from a long generational line of artists and energetic intuitives, both on my maternal and paternal lines, the Love Roni line, which extends throughout so many powerful people, names, and ancestors that I send my love and gratitude to every day, even by me just being here. I am the daughter of Nia Love and Antoine Roni, sister of Kojo Roni, Zipporah Roni, Turquoise Love. I acknowledge that I'm living on a part of the Earth's land that was respectfully and harmoniously occupied by the Lenape, now known as Harlem, New York, post-white settlership. I was also raised here. I am a life, body, soul alchemist in which I turn ethereal matter into what we call art, poetry, dance, and whatever else my soul is called to channel and express love, light, and truth. I'm sitting on a love seat with plants behind me and a sun going down. I'm wearing a white sweater. My hair is curly and out, and that is me. So I would love to say to that community is such a big part of Black Dance Stories. And so we want to know who's watching tonight. Make sure to like, comment, drop some comments in the chat, say hello, where you're watching from, ask some questions, and just engage, share some love. Also, please follow us on our social media. Our Instagram is @BlackDanceStories. Our Twitter is @BLK Both of our Instagram and Twitter links should be there in the chat. And most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have a huge goal of making it to 1,000 subscribers. And we can't do that without your help in your community. So please subscribe, follow us, share with your community. We have a subscriber Sunday, so look out for that on our social media, a day where we illuminate our amazing community and encourage more people to be a part of it. We want to thank you, everyone.
Well, Makeda, so I'm going to take it over for now. And I would like to talk. Are you there, Charmaine?
I'm here. Talk
Okay.
about the solidarity statement. Yes.
Yes. And well, actually, I want to talk first about our village behind the scenes. So Cynthia Tate, publicist, Renee Redding Jones, director of finance and development, Tony Turner, photographer and graphic artist, Gabe de Coladenu.
For your continual love and support.
She's back.
She's back.
She's back. I don't know if she's back, but I will keep going and hopefully she will come back. So
yeah.
We have Caitlin Chandler, video tech expert, Makeda Smith, digital media director, Rebecca Carew, development consultant, Antonio Burkett, who is our ASL interpreter, Kojo Roni, our BDS theme with the music and the drums. It's amazing. Check out our website, and Everett Saunders, who also added to it. So we have a wish list, I'm going to quickly say, and then I'm going to turn it back to you, Charmaine. Okay. So we have, please consider donating to BDS. Our link tree will be in the chat, okay? IABD is our amazing fiscal sponsor. And when you decide to donate, please, you will be brought to the page that they sponsor. So please consider, without you, we would not exist. So please, thank you. You will also see links for our Twitter and Instagram. So please subscribe and check out our social media platforms. We are looking for interns interested in joining our BDS team. So, and if you haven't already, please join our mailing list. Solidarity statement. I want everyone, please, we will stay vigilant, always, our BDS team will continue to stand in solidarity with our sisters and brothers in Africa and all over the world, with all those who want an immediate end to systemic racism. Can we please get your wines, get anything you're drinking, as Makeda, who will come back soon, you're happy.
Makeda is here. Welcome back, Makeda.
Great.
We missed you.
We miss you. Oh my goodness, I'm glad you're back.
That.
So can you say what you say about your happy place with this, please?
Yes, grab yourself some wine, water, tea, your cup of happy, and let's cheers to Black Dance Stories.
Cheers,
Cheers.
cheers, cheers. And I want to give another big shout out to Caitlin, who in the back did something. I don't know what you did, Caitlin, but you did something while we had a little hiccup. But yay, teamwork. All right. The beautiful Makeda, the beautiful Kimani, they're going to leave for a while. We're here for you tonight. And we're so glad you're here with us tonight. And I'm so excited to bring in Earl Mosley. Come on in, Earl Mosley. Look at us.
Hi, Charmaine.
Look at us. Cheers.
Oh, let me get it.
Wait, make sure they can really see it.
Can we see it?
Yes. Cheers. And make sure you take a sip. Don't be taking cheers yet. So my brother Earl.
Yes.
Welcome. Introduce yourself. And I'm so excited.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. And I think what you all are doing is fabulous work and well needed. And I salute you all and congratulations on Black Dance Stories, because we are Black, we are beautiful, and we have stories to tell. So I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Frederick Earl Mosley, born Raleigh, North Carolina. But first of all, I'd like to say, as and following this most important time in our lives of isolation and so many things that are coming to our head, I am too here in the stolen lands of the Lenape people, and I like to acknowledge that as well, in New York. So moving forward, I will, as everyone is, hopefully going to practice those acknowledgements and the well-deserved praise that needs to be given. So again, I am from Raleigh, North Carolina. Parents, Edward Lane Jr., mom, Lizzie Lane, grandparents, Bethel Lane, grandfather, Edward Lane Sr. I come from a place of modest means, to say the least. Some may know, some may not know. I actually grew up in Raleigh. You have what you call, roads, and then you have the back roads. Well, I grew up on the back roads. I grew up on the back roads, and sometimes the back of the back roads. Behind our house was literally trees and ponds and dirt roads and paths and so many things. Very isolated community. My story isn't that different from a lot of people, in the sense that also within my community, all the parents knew everyone's kids, and it didn't matter which house you slept in. Someone was going to get a switch if you were acting up. Someone's going to get their switch if you were acting up, and then they call your mama and tell about it, and tell her about you that day. So, example, beside my parents lived my aunt. Beside my aunt lived my grandma. Beside my grandmama lived my best friend's grandma. Beside his grandma lived my other best friend's grandma. So it was that type of thing. So, but along with that, also provided a lot of security, a lot of hands-on growing up, where you had so many voices around you to use as both role models for the good and the bad. Because it was at times a very hard life. We grew up, my grandparents were farmers. My father was a farmer. And as I think back to those times, I used to question, like, how did I end up in this dance thing when everybody around me was like, shucking corn and picking butter beans and, planting watermelon and chasing hogs and, killing chickens and all that. Like I come from that world. I have 9 brothers and sisters. So it's a large family network, multiple generations of just age groups, some a year apart, some 4 years apart. So all those dynamics played into how we treated each other as siblings. But to get to the heart of where I'm from, which is why I'm so grateful, Charmaine, you asked me to be here, because I didn't really think about it until today. Again, like, how did I end up here? Was it predestined, or did I know? And I heard a student of mine say something about staying connected to your feelings. And yes, a student said staying connected to your feelings. And it made me think back when I was young, when I was out there sowing the fertilizer, or, pulling up the collards and all that stuff. I knew I was from there, but there was something inside of me asking, but am I supposed to be here? Is this where I'm supposed to be? I know this is my mom, my dad, my brothers, my cousins, my friends. I love them all, but am I supposed to be here? And I think that staying connected to that feeling is what helped, even during those times, to keep myself envisioning something else out there for me, even though I didn't know what it looked like. I did not dance as a youngster. Again, no one around me was in the arts. They did what they knew best, which was to try to make it from day to day, and show love as best they could, which wasn't necessarily always the love that I particularly thought I needed. But now that I see in hindsight that it was, meaning on the best days, we would have tomato fights out in the garden. On the best days, we would have watermelon fights out in the garden. On the best days, we would clear out a dirt path and make a basketball court, playing basketball in the dirt, and then on a beautiful fall day, we would be out there. Like, there's this church by where we live called New Bethel Church, small parking lot. And beside the small parking lot was a big old lawn of grass, like no cars parked there ever. But on a beautiful fall day, you would get out there and play football to all times of night. Those were the beautiful moments. And even during those were the moments where I felt like, if this feels this great, then imagine what else could be out there for me. Imagine what else could be out there for me. So staying connected to those feelings helped propel me to make sure I made the grades that I needed to in school, made sure that I made those connections with my now middle school teachers, high school teachers, guidance counselors, asking questions. And it led up to one day, my senior year in high school, my best friend at the time, Maria Taylor, said to me, I see you playing soccer after school. I see you doing this in your little high school fraternity, but you're always dancing. Hasn't anybody ever told you should be a dancer? And I was like, what? I was going to become an accountant, because that was where I'm from, and that world that I'm from. That was like, the course. Like, you grow up in your community, you go do your schooling, go to college, you get married. You don't typically leave your neighborhoods. Maybe every now and again somebody would, and I'm that person. I did leave my neighborhood. Many others did as well. But she brought dance up to me when I was a senior in high school, and it was the first time I actually thought about my life. The rest was just I was following suit. And when she not only did she question me, she called me to action by daring me to take a dance class. When I took that dance class, man, I was excited. And now fast forward, thank God for Maria Taylor. Fast forward 40 something, 30 something years, here I am tonight, able to talk to you all. Which brings me to this point, if I may, Charmaine. I've noticed also with being here today that I'm happy that I've had the men in my life, but it's mostly have been the women, though, that have challenged me. That have really challenged me to like, who are you? Like, who are you? What are you doing here? Is there anything else to you besides what I see? And so it's Maria Taylor with dance. And then fast forward through, it was such great women like Denise Jefferson of the Ailey School, Diane Gray of the Graham School, Carol Walker. There were so many, Miss Judith James, and so many women, Anna Marie Forsyth, so many women that I came into contact with, Renee Redding Jones, so many women that I've come into contact with that have always given me a little nudge on the shoulder, like, who are you? And what are you doing? And I was so happy that they did that, because it helped me to, again, connect to that feeling of like, is this enough? Is this all there is? And so all the because of that, it dance was something that I loved doing, but I never questioned why I loved doing it. I just know that my friend turned me on to it, and it was a high that I couldn't get rid of. Right, but I never questioned why was I doing it, and mostly it was always women that poked me in one way or another to make me sit back, relax, and have a conversation with yourself. And what are you doing? And so this platform, for me, is a moment to also say how much I appreciate those moments that have really built me and curved me to make me the person that I am now. I remember when I was a young dancer, dancing in Ron's company, Evidence, and it was Renee that would be like, "Is it the left foot or the right foot?" And then sometimes I get blitzed in between her and Cynthia Oliver. I'm asking you the question again: Is it the left foot or the right foot? And those moments help me to realize, oh, I have more to offer than just following. I need to investigate. I need to problem solve. Um, I need to know that there's more to me. So balancing all those worlds helped me to appreciate the sternness and the discipline of Denise Jefferson and Sylvia Waters. All of these things were happening in my life, fortunately, at the same time. All of these worlds were overlapping at the same time. And while I was dancing, it was Sylvia Waters, the director of Ailey 2, which was then the Alvin Ailey the Alvin Ailey Repertory Ensemble, and Denise Jefferson, which was then the Alvin Ailey American Dance Center. They saw something in me that I didn't see. They were like, "I think you should teach." Well, as a matter of fact, they didn't say, "I think you should teach." They told me, Ms. Waters first, yeah, because I was fortunate to dance with Ailey's junior company as well. Ms. Waters said, "You're teaching company class tonight. See you later, bye." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I taught class. And then I promise you, within 3 days later, Ms. Jefferson called me and was like, "Well, the summer intensive is happening these days. We have you down for teaching, because Sylvia said that you're a teacher. So we're going to have you teaching." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And within those challenges, I found that I really love teaching. And through that, I shied away from performing. I love teaching. And then even within that, that's when Miss Forsyth kicked in, and she was like, "I really think you love teenagers, you love young people. What do you want to do with your teaching besides just being a teacher?" Which led me to then getting with Sylvia Waters again. And she put me on these community projects of teaching students in elementary school. And Ronnie Favors had me teaching with her in the Ailey camp. And so I was just engrossed with all these women that were just pulling me left, right, and sideways. And all of that led into what is now known as Earl Mosley Diversity of Dance, a platform for which I'm so proud of. We started in 1997, 98, non-for-profit, which is all about inclusion, which is all about community, collaborating, and a real sense of like, how do we honestly take care of each other, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the above, as people first. And if you want to be a dancer, that's great. If you don't want to be a dancer, that's great as well. If you want to use dancing to get your mojo on, that's also great. But you better come up in here with some honest intentions, and you better come up in here wanting to motivate others and not just yourself. Um, and that's now what I live and breathe by, and has led to my summer program called Earl Mosley Institute of the Arts, which is 16 years old. Charmaine, I'm so blessed that you've helped me to start that. Makeda, here at Black Dance Stories, is an alum of the program. It started in Kent, Connecticut, now 16 years ago, on a mountain. It's called Skiff Mountain, very isolated area with blueberries and mosquitoes and ponds and lakes and all of that stuff. And since then has been fortunate enough to move to Hofstra University out on Long Island, to state-of-the-art studios and a 1,000-seat theater. And we welcome students from all around the world, from ages 14 through college. You can go there 2 weeks and or 4 weeks. We give 85% of our students are on scholarship. We definitely is a must We reach out to our Black and brown kids, and anyone that's in need, period. We don't use that as an excuse to close doors. We always try to open doors. Um, we practice interacting with parents to keep that alive and encouraging all our students to be better people. Um, and I don't know if Charmaine, if I'm running out of time or not, but if
You're good, but I don't want you to forget to talk about the gazillion tangents that have come from EMEA.
Yes, well, yeah. So that being said, EMEA is the nucleus of all of this, but from EMEA, it has spawned out to all of these things as well. We have a Hearts of Men program that we've started, because I noticed that when we had the program happening, a lot of the young men still left discouraged and not knowing what they wanted to pursue dance, or with all the, implied phobias that come with wanting to be a dancer, and what assumed a business that's predominantly held by women. So with the advising and mentoring of the late great Dudley Williams, former principal dancer of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, superstar Dudley Williams, he motivated me and encouraged me to stay connected to the young men. And he thought it would be great to have a rehearsal process where an intergenerational process happened with ages from 3 up to 80. It doesn't matter, dancing or not. If you've danced or not, doesn't matter. Just a dance is the glue that binds all of us together. And once we're in there, it's just fellowship. And we're all expressing our concerns about being ostracized from whatever your life experience is. And how do we share in those moments to know that you can overcome them? And we thought the best way for the younger people to know that is for us to let them know, we've been there, we see you, we lived that, and we were able to overcome it, and so can you. So I do that program in collaboration with the Ailey Extension Program with Lisa Willingham Johnson, a dear friend of mine. And that's been going on now for 7 or 8 years. Thrilled about that, yes. And we have at least between 80 and 100 men that participate every time we do it. It happens 2 weeks in August, every summer in the Ailey building. So we're thrilled about that. You can find out more about that by visiting our website, diversityofdance.org. You can find out all of these programs are on our website. Again, diversityofdance.org. I also push young people to do more than that art as far as activism is concerned, in 2 ways: for our mental health, for social justice reasons, for the systematic racism that we are all entwined with, whether we want to accept it or not, or realize it or not. So I push my young people to also appreciate each other as and see that our similarities are stronger than our differences, but they have to be honest about where they're coming from. So we have our Dancing Beyond series that happens every winter, where the young people participate and they know that their donations for participating is going in the battle to fight cancer. And then this past summer, when COVID hit, we all went virtual without we had no choice. God said, everybody's in timeout, go to your room. Everybody's in timeout, just go to your room. So when the planet was in timeout, my students are looking at me like, but Mr. Mose, what we're gonna do? Are we gonna dance? The Zoom thing. So we figured out how to have an EMEA 2020 virtual. We had, again, over 100 students that participated. And within that incubator, students were asking, I want to talk though. Yeah. I don't want to just dance. I got something on my heart. I want to talk. And I want to talk about what's happening in the street with Black Lives Matter. I want to talk about what's happening with the transgender folks in our communities. But I want to talk, not just dance. And so that being said, fast forward, 2 of the teachers incorporated what we call Dance as Activism, a film festival. And we're literally in the middle of its inauguration. This week we're having a program tonight at 7:30 p.m. And it's called, again, Dance as Activism Film Festival 2021. And we've had over 80 choreographers. Ms. Warren was one of the mentors for it. And mostly the choreographers are women. So
See now, this is a terrible, horrible transition, but it's time to bring in another woman, Dr. Halifu. Come on with the women. And thank you for lifting us up, Brother Earl.
Amen.
Y'all say hi a little bit, but then we'll see you in a little bit, Earl.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Dr. Halifu.
Well, hello there, Charmaine.
Welcome, Sister Love. Big Cheers to you.
Yes, let me get it. I got my apple cider. And in my tradition, we first have to give the ancestors a little bit.
That's right. Come
There
on.
you go, before I take mine.
Yes.
Ashe.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Introduce yourself. And this
Wow.
is your time.
Who am I? Well, let's start out with the name, Halifu Osumare. And I am a light-skinned African-American woman with short cropped hair, kind of reddish brownish, at least it is right now. Maybe next year it'll be fully gray like it is at the roots. And behind me is my wall for Catherine Dunham that I had to include in this session because she is my spiritual and artistic mentor, even as an ancestor now who passed in 2006. I'm in Sacramento, California. Glad to be repping California. And I'm on the tribal lands of the Patwin indigenous peoples who were here in Sacramento as far back as 500 AD, which reminds me of one of the things that my mentor, Catherine Dunham, always told me. She says, we need to be thinking in eons of time, not just in years. And so I pay homage to them who developed this land before it was unceremoniously confiscated by the Europeans. My elders, who do I come from? I am the daughter of my elder mother, Mrs. Tanola Hall, who is, I'm happy to say, 94 years old, strong. I am the granddaughter of Alberta St. Cyr, the great granddaughter of Rita Dolly, the great great granddaughter of Julia Dolly, and the great 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 granddaughter of Melinda Hawkins. Yes, I can trace my ancestry back about 5 generations, and I come from a long line of strong Black women. I was born in Galveston, Texas, an island near Houston, and Galveston is known as the home of Juneteenth because that was where the slaves were conveniently not told that the Emancipation Proclamation had been enacted. And so they got another year or two of work, free work out of them. And so Galveston developed a kind of uh, independence. That's the word I would use, an independence from the mainland that the African descendants on that island really developed a strong sense of self-empowerment. Jack Johnson, you know, our first heavyweight champion was from Galveston. And I realize now that the women who I come from represented that kind of empowerment and independence that came from Galveston, Texas, starting out in segregated schools, but being brought to San Francisco at about 8 or 9. But having that strong beginning foundation in a African American community, just like Earl was talking about, that really cared about me and really educated us well, so that I was well ahead of many of the white, Asian, and Latino students in San Francisco when we arrived. Now, my dance focus, I think, comes out of that kind of independence from my ancestry and my background in Galveston, Texas, because I have been on every side of this dance game that you can think of. Dancer, choreographer, producer, and cultural activist, writer, and scholar. And on the last tip, both in dance and in Black popular culture in general. Now, I wanted to, on that note, I wanted to show my memoir, Dancing in Blackness, that many people have heard about. Here it is. And so I have been able to tell my story. This is a Black dance story for sure. And on the cover, you see me in one of my solos that I choreographed for myself back in 1984 called Rites of Passage, which is all about what we all go through from birth through death, the rites of passage of life. I would say that one of the main themes of my careers and all of its diversity has been what I call the politics of recognition, because I developed this idea that I had to do research about how we survived as a people. And I realized that my being drawn to dance was a part of that survival. And I developed research that then became a lecture demonstration called The Evolution of Black Dance that started out in San Francisco and the Bay Area in general, and dance as our kind of survival mechanism. And the linear kind of approach that I took to the evolution of Black dance started in Africa, because I don't think that Black history starts on the slave plantation. We got to trace it all the way back to Africa, which is a part of our Black dance story. Then I actually took that and took it all around the country and even into the Hawaiian Islands, where I eventually moved to. I started out in the San Francisco Bay Area in the Black Studies and Black Arts movement. And I did my evolution of Black dance in the Black Panthers headquarters. I also went to Europe and danced in Copenhagen and Stockholm. And I did some parts of the evolution of Black dance in that particular arena as well. I ended up going to New York and dancing with the Rod Rogers Dance Company. And that was, of course, an important experience because it let me know that I could make it in the biggest dance scene in the country, New York. I had the real, what I would say is the real honor of dancing with one of the biggest activists in the Black arts movement in the 1970s, and that was Rod Rogers. I loved dancing in his company. I loved telling the stories about who we were as a people through his choreography. Then I had to come back to the Bay Area, and I still felt that there was something missing, and that something missing was the source of Black dance. And so I saved up my money from taking the evolution of Black dance into the public schools all around the Bay Area. And that company also included the famous Ntozake Shange, the poet for colored girls, who also, by the way, gave me my African name of Halifu Osumare. But in 1976, I had to do my own self-funded research in Ghana, West Africa. And I lived there for a year. And guess what? I ended up doing the evolution of Black dance for the Ghanaians and included some of their dances that I had learned, including the Ashanti Adowa. And that was another experience in sharing my way of looking at dance as a politics of recognition of who we were, not only as a people, but how dance itself really helped us to survive one of the most devastating histories that the world has ever known. I ended up developing my own art center after being empowered through my trip to Ghana. And everybody's Creative Arts Center, City Center Dance Theater definitely came out of that evolution. It became the creative dance center for the East Bay, for the whole Bay Area. And today it is still going on in a new incarnation called the Malonga Cascade Lord Center for the Arts. After I left that organization, I went on to develop the dance initiative, the national dance initiative called Black Choreographers Moving Toward the 21st Century. And that's where I met Miss Charmaine Warren, because she was with David Rousseff, and David Rousseff's company was part of our performances in 1990, I think it was, in Los Angeles. Yes, it was actually a 3-city dance initiative: San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego. So these kinds of stories and these projects that I did really have that theme of the politics of recognition that is so much a part of how I see what needs to happen in terms of the whole dance scene in the United States. That we, as a whole part of the field of dance, need to have even more recognition than we have gotten. After leaving the dance field, I decided I needed to go and get my PhD, because I was always interested in research as well. And I moved to the Hawaiian Islands, and I ended up getting my doctorate in American Studies at University of Hawaii at Manoa. Now, that particular degree allowed me to then become a tenured track professor in universities. And I went on to Ohio, where I taught at Bowling Green State University, and had a 5-year appointment in the dance division there. And I still felt homesick for my Bay Area. And I applied for a position in African American and African Studies, and ended up at University California, Davis, and was there for about 11 years. But I was still always writing about dance and Black popular culture, and became a scholar of hip hop. I didn't really get into the dance, but I learned about the entire culture. And what came out of that is 2 major scholarly books on hip hop, called The Africanist Aesthetic and Global Hip Hop Power Moves, and The Hip Life in Ghana, West African Indigenization of Hip Hop. It wasn't until after I retired from University of California, Davis in 2016 that I decided I had to write about this unique dance story. And that's how Dancing in Blackness came about. I then had the time to write my story. And now I've even developed workshops to help other dancers tell their stories, because only we can tell our stories in the unique ways that we know, both as artists and as thinkers. And I learned that both being able to express oneself through this beautiful art that we call dance, and to think about that and how that has helped us survive our history, is 2 very important aspects to be a conscious dancer. And Catherine Dunham taught me that, because she was the model of the dancer scholar, and I always have to have her with me. So I ended up here in Sacramento, California, because I went to do my appointment at University of California, Davis, which is only about 25 miles from Sacramento. And I now live with my very supportive artist, painter, poet husband, Mr. Gene Howell. And I am now working on my sequel to my memoir, because Dancing in Blackness stopped in 1994 as I was moving to Hawaii. So I got still a lot more to tell about this politics of recognition in my life and in my dance.
Wait, Dr. Halifu, is this the first time that it's been said out loud that the sequel is coming out?
I think I've mentioned it a few times, but not very much. I'm even coming up with a title, but I'm not letting anybody know about that.
Okay. I was trying to get some first time stuff from here, but that's okay. Well, it's time to bring in Coco, and you can't go too far.
I won't.
Come on in, Coco. You two can say hi or something, but see you in a little bit.
Take it over, girl.
Hello, Dr. Halifu. Hello, Mama Charmaine. This is incredible to be here.
Wait. Hold on.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, wait, what's in the
Lemonade.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that at that. Introduce yourself and tell your story.
I'm gonna take a deep breath because just listening to the stories that Earl shared and Dr. Halifu shared, I'm feeling just the incredible serendipity of being a part of this, and how much our stories intertwine both in location and time and space and purpose, and really all brought together beautifully by Charmaine. And I'm thinking about, you know, when you came into my life and the first time I saw you. And so I'm deeply moved and deeply excited to be here. My name is Coco Killingsworth. I am the daughter of Amy and George Killingsworth. I am the granddaughter of Elsie Phillips Ibaye, who was 103 when she passed away this past summer. She is with me always. She is one of my most profound ancestors and influences in my life. I am also the wife and life partner of Eris Johnson Smith, and the very proud and often very tired but inspired mother of Ezzy and Asali Johnson Smith, who I worry will interrupt this at any moment, but we'll go with it. I am in Brooklyn. I hail from Oakland, but today and for the past 20 years, I have been in Brooklyn, New York, which is on the stolen land of the Lenape people. But I rise in their spirit, as so many of us do, and not just acknowledging their presence and the peace and the, I think, as was said earlier, the harmony and the spirit that they've sowed into this land rises again in the people who acknowledge that. And so I am here doing that. I am a African-American, non-disabled woman. I am in my apartment in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. My very salt and pepper hair is twisted and long and COVID length. I am wearing a jean jacket, Fulani earrings, and a dope t-shirt that says Cultural Warrior with two machetes crossing. I am wearing bracelets from Dance Africa and rings from Dance Africa. My background is my ancestors, my literary ancestors. That's a mirror, not a door, behind me. And I'm also, what you can't see, but what you must feel is the presence of my ancestor altars and my Orisha who are with me all the time. As I said, I am here, I'm with you all, and that is me. So my dance journey and my education journey, as I was thinking about this today, they all have been parallel and intertwining since the very beginning. My sister, Tracy, my older sister, Tracy, is a dancer. She has one of the best memories for choreography I've ever experienced in my life. She can remember choreography from, 40 years ago. And she was a huge influence on me. We went to a performing arts high school in Oakland, and she went before me. She was the first dancer. She was the first freshman to be in the advanced dance program, and I was the second 9 years later. So huge influence. And I was dancing all before that, and dancing when I all through high school. It was the way that I knew myself. I did not realize until much later in life that I was smart, that I had intelligence, that I was a good student, but I knew that I was a bomb dancer. And so I actually went to UCLA as a dance major. And part of it was I wanted to be a dancer, but I also wanted to go to school, and I knew that that would give me a leg up. And so I got into UCLA and went as a dance major. And the other thing I knew about college, that I wanted to study abroad. And I didn't know where. I think in middle school, I started talking about studying abroad, but it was like Spain or where you would hear stuff like that happen. But I was gonna go, I didn't know where I was gonna go. I just knew I was gonna go. So I went to UCLA. At the time, UCLA didn't have what they have now, which is the World Arts and Cultures program, WAC. But so as a dance major, I wasn't deeply moved by what the program was at that time. How do I put this? A lot of the people who were in my class went on to be, professional cheerleaders and so on, which is dance, but not what I was into. So I left that major, and while I was in my sophomore year, I decided I was going to go to Ghana, just like Dr. Halifu. So I lived in Ghana from 1994 to 1995 for a full year. I had never left the country. I was actually the first person in my family to leave the country. And I went for a year to Ghana, where there was, in 94, I'm aging myself, but there was no internet. There wasn't phones everywhere in every house. It was going to a whole different world and immersing yourself in it. So I went to Ghana, and it absolutely changed my life. And again, both in terms of my life as my trajectory as an educator and a dancer. So what I discovered about myself in Ghana was how I was smart, how I understood how things worked. I understood how to conceptualize. I mean, I remember being in Accra and seeing billboards, this West Africa and Ghana are Black West Africa. I was white, considered light as a light-skinned woman, I was considered white. It's very dark skin and beautiful in Ghana. And but I saw billboards of white Jesus looking out over, on the streets everywhere. And it was just a very profound moment where I understood what colonization looked like the process. It immediately made sense to me how this all happened. And so and I was also able to have amazing study groups where I was there, including with Kwame Ture. And just changed my life and opened up my brain in a completely different way. And at the same time, I was studying dance. And so this was the first time that I was studying dance in cultural context. And I, even then I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I was doing it and learning dance. That traditional dance comes from not a studio and choreography but a people and an experience and a purpose. And so I came back that year later, changed, and the trajectory of my life was completely changed. First of all, I was always going to travel for the rest of my life. This has been one of the hardest years ever because I haven't been able to travel. I was always going to dance, and my world of dance was completely blown open. And I was suddenly, somewhere in me, the teacher really woke up, and the educator, and understanding how experience and feeling knowledge helps build knowledge and create knowledge in people. And so that's what I was focused on when I came back. I went back to Oakland. I was still dancing. I was dancing every chance I could. I was dancing at the Malanga Center in Oakland. I was just in classes, but it was still just, it was the most important part of my life to be able to keep going and moving through things. Fast forward, I went, after grad school, I came to New York. My mother is actually from the Bronx, as is my grandmother. On my grandmother's side, we're from Bermuda, St. Kitts, Barbados, and Antigua. But my grandmother grew up, my grandfather was a super in a Jewish tenement. So my grandmother was one of those amazing Black women who had a serious Jewish accent. So anyways, I came back. I went backwards to New York and came back to where they all started from in this country. And dance took over my life. I used to dance at, it's just gonna fly out of my head what it was called, I can't believe, Geneva Dance Center, where I danced with everybody, Richard Gonzalez, with Geneva, Peniel, all these teachers. You know, as I was doing that, I was also working in education, working in public schools in Canarsie, in the Bronx. I was working at a program called Global Kids that was all about connecting what's happening in your life to what's happening to the rest of the world. So of course it was perfect for me. And then going to dance class, you know, 4 or 5 times a week. And at one of those dance classes, actually it was actually at a show at SOBs. This artist from the Bay Area named Guapole, Adia Whitaker, who is the artistic director of Ashe Dance Theater Collective, who's also from the Bay Area, was one of her backup dancers at this show. And I saw her and I was like, I'm gonna dance with her. And I saw her again at a class at Geneva. And I just, you know how your whole life is a interview in some ways, or an audition in this case. I just danced like I knew she was gonna find me and discover me and bring me in. And she did, in the typical Adia way. It was just like, yeah, you're mine now. So, and I was. At the same time that I started dancing with Ashe Dance Theater Collective, I also started a public high school in Brooklyn. So, you know, again, it just always was going like this, these two worlds. So I'm starting this high school. I'm building with all these young people in Brooklyn. I mean, neither is a side hustle. Both are completely central to my life. I was at one point I was dancing with 3 different companies, but then Ashe became my absolute focus. And I think for both of them in my education work, it was about, as a teacher, I was teaching about global citizenship. And as a dancer, I was all about learning about dance in its context and the culture that's behind it and the meaning that's behind it and trying to evoke that meaning. And so I was lucky enough with both of those jobs, or those part of me, to really to travel the world and understand the world through dance and through learning. So I've danced in Cuba, I've danced in Brazil, in Mali, in Ghana, in South Africa, and I've also been in all those places as a teacher and an educator. I just wanted to, one of the deepest parts of even just preparing and talking about tonight is that, preparing for tonight has been that one of the things that I discovered is that, especially for Ashe and where I've been in my education journey for the last 15 years, it's been, my work has been about community, it's been about healing, it's been about culture, it's been about justice, before, and Blackness and the beauty of our people before that was ever recognized as such. And I was able to do that in both spaces. One of the things that stands out to me so strongly in my time with Ashe was one of our company members, Kelly White, is from New Orleans, and she's back in New Orleans, but she was here during Hurricane Katrina, and we felt it so deep in our soul through her, but also through all the people that were in New Orleans, including her mother, who was displaced for a period of time. And just, you know, New Orleans is like Oakland is like Brooklyn. Like it's so deep in you, you can't help but claim it constantly, every chance you get. And so we did a show at a studio that was used to be on Fulton Avenue called Embora, for Hurricane Katrina, that was raising awareness, raising funds and donations and support, and also lifting up the artists, you know, because New Orleans is such a city of artists, and lifting up the artistry. So we did a piece that Adia had created. We did a second line. It was this beautiful moment of healing, and raising awareness and raising funds, but really of healing, and experiencing everything we were going through. And that was one of the most profound experiences. And then years later, as I said, our high school is in Brooklyn, which is a huge population of Haitians outside of the nation. They experienced the devastating earthquake. And I had many Haitian students before that, but we were also able to bring tons of Haitian students who were now displaced and refugees to our school. And we did a benefit show, and Ashe performed at that show. And you know, one amazing thing is I have kept these worlds very separate. And so sometimes when people from one world get a glimpse of me in the other, they don't know what to do. So my students seeing me dance were kind of blown away, didn't know what to do with me, as did my dancers seeing me lead. You know, my co-dancers seeing me lead, or, you know, kind of be boss lady, didn't know what to do either. But am I out of time?
Yes.
All right, I'll just say real quickly, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Charmaine. Very quickly,
Hey,
you know.
please, it's okay.
Okay. This just happened recently, but for the first time in my life, the worlds really came together when I started working at BAM as the vice president of education, you know, of an arts institution leading young people in that arts institution. And so that's, you know, I'm 4 years into that, and it's really the first time that I've been able to, you know, start to bring those together, have a, you know, a little bit of a convergence, but it's thrilling. I still think people at BAM have no idea about me as a dancer, just like the dancers have no idea as me as a boss or whatever I am, but it's beginning to bring those two worlds together. And it was, you know, such an epiphany for me to make that happen. You know, it was something I know I needed to do. And I'm excited to talk to Dr. Halifu and Earl about bringing those worlds together.
Oh, wow, I think you just helped my transition. Thank you, Coco.
You're welcome. I got you.
I think, come on back, Halifu. Come on back, Earl. And as you're coming, oh my gosh, y'all fans out there. So Ava Taye is here. Elizabeth Zimmer is here. Stony Darling, Amy Casello, Summer McCoy, Goosey C. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Goosey.
Jersey. Oh, wait, Lindsay Crawford. Woo! Ariana, who's one of our interns. Vincent Thomas, yay. Heather Robles, Stacy Dinner, Linda Goodrich, Laura Marchese, Yvette Rodriguez. I think it's Delina Dream, Zane Booker, Cynthia Oliver, Renee Redding Jones, Nia Love, and Diane McIntyre is here.
Wow.
Oh, yay. All right.
I feel it. I feel all those people here.
Good.
Yeah, me too.
I get to leave y'all alone for a minute. Behave yourselves.
For sure.
Wow. So here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
A lot of overlap.
What did you say?
A lot of overlap.
Yeah. It's so thrilling, man. It's so beautiful to hear your stories, you all, and
Yes.
the line, that line of bringing everyone together. The stories are so similar.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's why
It makes me so happy.
Oh, That's why I
No,
particularly
you go, Dr. Halifu.
am holding these workshops to get Black dancers in particular to tell their stories, to be able to write them down. Because I've noticed from being in both the academic and the world of the arts is that what lasts longer, unfortunately, is writing. So if you have your story written down, it's gonna reach into posterity. It's gonna reach many more generations if it's written down. So I've been holding these workshops and trying to encourage a lot of my colleagues to really write their own stories.
Well, sign me up.
Me too.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that in
just
mind, and I'll see what I can do to organize a virtual national workshop.
Yeah, I think that sounds.
I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, I do too, Coco. I think it will be amazing.
I think just hearing the parallels, but in my mind, I'm very visual, and I think about these lines of us, and not just when they interact or when they look, but how we go further and further together, right? Like not just that we each take up a moment, and there's a little bit of a unseen, not torch pass, but just connection, and then that line goes further, and then that line goes further. And I know that as an educator, that's how I think. It's not you don't necessarily, well, you never really see the impact in the moment that it's happening, nor do you see like the gratitude. Let's be real, right? But then it comes later, and I always want to hear those stories of what are those moments in the classes or the experience that you had that really put you on the path that you're on, because we're doing that. We're seed planting and providing space to our students for all these experience, for all of this to grow and bloom. And it's incredible.
Yeah. I think for me, it was when I realized I was self-teaching, when I realized that I was self-teaching, and at the end of the day, I had to design my path. You know what I mean? Like I had to say, no matter what, this is what it is, and that's what I'm going to listen to. And we know I've heard both of you talk. There's always that noise telling you to go, no, do this, no, go do that, do that. But there was something that I was so blessed to, I guess you call it a gift, that you have to listen, and that inner voice in you, to listen to that and not get distracted by all that other noise that's out there. So then like you said, passing the torch, the thing that I pray the most for is to pass it down to my students. So they self-teach, and then they pass that along to others,
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we're talking about self-empowerment, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, we're talking about self-empowerment, so that you're not listening to all those extraneous voices, but you're following your own inner spirit that is your guide. That is supposed to be guiding you from birth till you draw your last breath. And what I've understood is that about teaching is that if I'm not learning, then I'm not teaching.
That's right.
I have to be learning at the same time as I'm teaching. I have to be getting something from my students. And when they pick up on that exchange, then in fact, that's when they become even more inspired, because it's an exchange rather than a top-down approach.
Right.
And now I have students, since I've retired, that are coming back to me after 30 years, and telling me how much I meant to them, and then what they have done with what I've given them.
That's right.
And there's nothing more gratifying than that.
Yeah. I think it's showing, when you're showing that you're also a learner and you're also learning from them, it is showing you can't empower somebody else, but it's showing the process of empowerment, right? That you're always open to learn. You're always growing. You're always, you're listening to the inner voice. You're channeling your strength and your purpose. and you're growing. And so, and when they see that, then they know how to do it themselves, right? It is the information and the technique and the space that we provide, but it's also them seeing how you do it. How do you take that in? How do you learn? And I, this period of time, I've always felt this way. Like my students always blow me away. In COVID, it's been, I mean, it's, it's been so hard and such a, there's no words for it, but what the students have done, and in dance, in Zoom, in isolation, I was listening to what you said, Earl, about how they needed to tell their stories, and how we may have had one idea of what we were going to do and carry on this program, and then they took it some other place. And that's been one of, I shouldn't be shocked, but I'm always shocked and surprised by how much I learn. But it is that openness to learning from them, and that I'm not the expert, I'm the experienced, and that's what I'm doing here. But you all have so much to bring to it.
Yeah, I totally agree, because when I look at them, I want them to know that I really see. I see in that inner spirit just does echoing and reaching out, and it wants to know one simple thing: can you meet me where I am?
Right.
Can you meet me where I am, as opposed to where you want me to be? Right. And I think once you establish that trust, and that, as Halifu said, once you establish that trust, then the student and the teacher are in this, like, collaboration where you're both teaching each other. And then that's when you get the beautiful reward of 30 years later, that student's going, wow, I want you to know the impact you made on my life. Little did you know that when you gave me that note, or you gave me that correction many years ago, that really impacted me, and thank you. And then you get that beautiful reward because you met them where they were.
Yeah.
And another thing that I heard on our stories that was similar is that we were in some ways given permission by our background to be able to do that. Even when our parents didn't know they were doing that for us, we came from a sense of love and caring and support that allowed us to then develop our own inner voice that then directed us as we became teachers. If you don't have that foundation of love and caring and people who really want you to do well in life, then a lot of people spend their whole lives trying to find that sense of empowerment, because they never had that loving foundation from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I heard that in all of our stories, that we came from people, from communities that cared and loved and did the best they could to push us forward.
Yes, I agree. I like to ask a question. Do you guys get this question? Do you all get this question? What's the difference between being a choreographer and a teacher? Like, do you teach when you're choreographing? You know what I mean? Do you are they separate? Do you see them as one? Because I make up dances, and I also teach technique classes, and several times I get that question of like, so when you're choreographing, do you consider yourself teaching at that moment, or do you separate them? Do you all get those types of questions?
I'm not a choreographer, or I haven't choreographed in a very long time, but I will, what I realized about myself recently, and I'm now, more of an administrator than a teacher. So I'm kind of running it all, but I think in choreography, even when I'm running a meeting, I think about, is this an ensemble piece? Is this is this a moment for a solo, like a focus? How do I move this idea, this mission around the room in space so that it all comes together? I think
That's
about
amazing.
it as dance. When I'm at my best. When I'm tired, I'm just getting through it. But I realized that about myself, a few years ago, that I think in choreography. I think about movement direction, even in a boardroom or wherever.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think they definitely are related, teaching and choreography, because when you are choreographing in the studio with your collaborators, who the dancers are really collaborating with you and making your vision come alive, you always end up teaching. You always end up sharing your knowledge, what you have learned about dance, what you have learned about the theme or the subject that you're actually trying to choreograph about. So to me, it's all about teaching and sharing, even the choreographic process. And to piggyback on what you said, Coco, not only in meetings, but in fact, in writing, which I'm doing a lot of now. I find myself choreographing the page.
That's right.
I find myself looking at how I'm configuring my words and saying, okay, now I know I need to beef this up, because it's like the crescendo in a piece of choreography that needs to come out right here. And I need to figure out a way to bring this to a conclusion right in on this page. And it's all about choreographing. So once you know dance and you know how dance works and how to tell a story through your body, I think that can transfer to almost any endeavor.
Absolutely.
Preach. Yeah. I agree. And I'm wondering, Coco, for you, how do you, because as you said, your students are always looking at you. How do you keep the poker face on when you yourself are feeling like, if I gotta do one more daggone Zoom, if I gotta do one more because they're feeling it already.
Yeah.
How do you keep that sense of motivation and urgency going?
Right now, it's not me that they're looking at. It's my team. It's Ava and Mecca and the teaching artists that are really bringing it through. I think how I'm, and I get to come in at the end or midway and kind of help inspire or focus them, or and kind of give them connection and some energy. But what I do for the teachers that are working with me, and the teaching artists and the educators is just try to drown out all the other noise, right? Like in this space, and really in Zoom, but what their stories are, what their experiences are, how they're getting through it. It's not just that we need to help them get through it. They're going to help us get through this. Arts are essential. Young people are essential to our recovery from this. I don't know how I'm going to get through without, the young people in my life feeding that. So that, I think it's really just making sure that they have that focus and that feel supported by me to be able to focus in on them, and that, we give them that love. Like when the young people, we had a show last year in Zoom, and it was the dance program that had started live and it moved to Zoom. I mean, are you kidding me? I thought it was going to be, we got through. It was incredible what they did and like how they represented who they were. So, it's just the people who really need to be in there and full of heart. It's making sure they have it and that I can just, keep choreographing all of it around them so they're focused.
If we're not anything, we are an adaptable people.
That's right.
If we weren't, we wouldn't even be here.
Yeah, the resilience and factor is like off the chart. It's not just this past year, it's been the past many years where we've just faced like every crisis, every slap, everything we are, then just, borns this incredible beauty and creativity and resilience. And, like each one of us are Black people saving the world, putting it on our back, bringing the creativity, doing it again and again. And like
being the conscience of the nation.
The soul of the nation, the conscience, the
throw
feet,
that in there, the conscience,
the arms, the undulation
of the nation.
That's
yes. And ultimately, I tell everyone, nothing is forever. And when this is over, we all need to be ready.
Yes.
We all need to be ready. and lead by example. So like those young ones that you're talking about, Coco and Halifu, when they see you're ready, they're like, okay, they ready, we're all ready. Because
Yeah.
this is we are going to join each other in a celebration when this is all done. And I want
Yeah.
my students to be ready to audition again. You know, like Coco, I love hearing your dance story. Love hearing both your dance stories. The audition process, you know, the nervousness. Charmaine, oh my God, you know, all of that is, but not in the old way. I want to
Yeah.
reimagine a new way.
Yeah.
You know, I
It's
Yeah.
gonna
reimagine.
be a new normal for sure. It's
Yeah,
not gonna be old normal.
It's
yeah,
like we've contracted, we've done that beautiful contraction work, and now that expansiveness is gonna be
yeah,
a whole other level. Like new moves
yeah.
we don't even know yet. Stay
Yes,
ready.
yes, yes,
That's
yes.
right,
Lisa,
Dr.
you better
Halifu.
dance.
Better dance, Dr.
You better
Halifu.
dance.
Come on. Come
Now
on.
write
Earl,
that
write
one down. Did you see that? Amazing, amazing.
Amazing. All right, this is where I try to find questions, and there are some, but the amount of shout outs to you all from folks in the chat. Folks are loving how you look because y'all are cute.
Aw.
Folks are loving your story. Yes. Folks are loving your stories. They are repeating your words. Renee and Cynthia are carrying on about your time in evidence together. Ava is bigging up your cultural warrior t-shirt. Where I lost the one for you, Dr. Halifu, but Delina Dream, is that somebody you know?
That's me.
Oh, that's you, but that person gave Dr. Halifu a big up somewhere along the line.
That's
Okay,
right. It's her. It's she's everybody. Delina's
okay.
everybody.
There you go. Here's a question from Nia Love. Hey, Mama Nia.
Hey,
Can
yeah.
you? Oh, see the love.
She was in Black Choreographers moving toward the 21st century.
Do you? I was on that tour. I think I was on that tour. Yes. Okay. Can you all talk about teaching in spaces that actually create formal reductionalized training rather than the embodiment from the streets, the kitchen, the living room?
Mm.
So is she talking about like the conservatory type atmosphere as opposed to, you know, just doing what you do in the studio?
Okay. The kitchen, the living room, the streets.
But is that I wonder if that's because we're also in Zoom, where people are literally learning from the kitchen, the living room, and the streets. Because I saw a film last night of this young lady on the film festival, you guys, it broke my heart, but it also inspired me. There were choreographer, she had 4 dancers, 3 of them were in their homes, but one young lady was outside in the hallway of her apartment building. And when I saw her and her like sky blue socks and dark navy unitard on, you know, this beautiful brown skinned girl out there determined to still dance. And it just the disparities, once again, like,
Yeah.
this is real. This is real. But how, as sad as it was, again, I was also encouraged because I was like, what courage does it take for her to say, you know what, I'm going to do this film. I'm going to dance. And if I got to do it outside in the hallway and tell them, don't come outside, stay inside your apartments for a while because I got to get this done. I applauded. I really applauded that. So I'm just wondering, like, is there a deeper question than the obvious of like you said, Halifu, is it the formalized conservatory versus, you know, you make it up on the spot, or you just kind of like make us some dances, or does it? Yeah, it made me think about last night and how courageous I thought that young lady was to be out there so vulnerable.
Knowing Nia, I would say both, but Dr. Halifu, I think you were going to say something.
Well, I think that the current situation we're in with being relegated to the Zoom format in order to dance and present our work is making us realize that that the world is really our studio, that the world is really our stage. Every setting can offer you different kinds of inspirations. for movement and for spirit to come out. And I'm seeing that a lot in the dance performances that I've seen. And in some ways it's pushing the creativity, even though it's, you know, we miss the touch, we miss the sweat, we miss we miss, you know, the physical connection. It's also giving us some opportunities to rediscover environments that are important as inspirations.
Coco, did you want to respond to that? And we have time for one more.
No, I think that was, both those responses were.
Okay, cool. All right. So this is from Vincent, who was here 3 weeks ago. Whoa, wait. Speaking of the seeds planted, what one piece of fruit will you want the young one to pick and taste from that fruit? Wow. Planting seeds. And where do you want it to go? Go ahead, Vincent, with yourself.
Well, I will say one thing, and it's at the very end of my book, and that's the way I wanted to end in my book, was trying to figure out a way to summarize what I had been saying all this. And I used a Congolese adage, and that particular Congolese saying goes, "Wadia fua yika dio." What you inherit, you must add value to.
Wait, wow. Can we just repeat that and then hold the book up one more time?
Wadia fua yika dio. What you inherit, you must add value to.
Ooh. Are you gonna go next? Because
so I'm telling you, our African ancestry has so much wisdom.
Right.
Yeah. It has so much wisdom. That's why when you hold on to an African proverb, you can just plummet the depths of that meaning for generations.
Wow.
Our African ancestry has power. We need to really connect with it. We must really empower ourselves with it and pass it on.
That I will go next, because what I was gonna say as my fruit was, you know, the seed of my fruit is dance where it happens, dance in the context. For me, for so many of us, it is dancing in Africa, in the continent, and feeling what that those movements that are born of there feel like in the body, you know, every part of your body, and see what that awakens in you. But it's also, you know, dance in the church, dance in your kitchen, dance where that movement feels, you know, connecting back to what Mama's sister Wonder Nia Love said, you know, where the reason you need to dance in the kitchen or the church, you know, is because of what it makes you feel, not just because of how you're told to do it. And, you know, in more of the formal spaces that we occupy as dancers. So I would say, you know, feel that if you're doing dance that is agricultural, feel dirt in your toes when you're doing it at some point in your rehearsal process, in your learning process. If you're, you know, give birth to movement as you're doing it. That would be my seed.
And the community that's connected to all of that.
That's right.
The community that's connected to all of that.
Without a doubt, learning from them. Yes.
That comes with those environments.
That's right.
Earl, your fruit?
Yes, I would say that if this time has taught me anything, and if I were to plant any seeds, I would say the human connection prevails. The human connection, I believe, for me, I've learned is the greatest gift that we all have to offer each other. And whether it's you're dancing, whether it's writing, whether it's calling your mom, we have to make our human connections our power, because Look at us tonight. Look at it. It's the need to connect. That's why we're here, ultimately, the need to connect. And we're not letting Zoom, we're not letting what's happening with 45 or anyone else.
Who was that?
Or anyone else.
Go on,
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. Everybody grab one, me to grab one, grab one.
It's a new cup.
Right.
It's like, 'cause, you know,
And now we
because,
got Kamala.
Come on.
amen, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm
And-
talking about.
What's your list, Earl?
That.
Yes, you know, Charmaine, because it's like I saw in the streets this summer so many folk from so many places, the planet, get in those streets this morning in the most adverse and most unsafe scenario, because it wasn't to destroy, it was actually to connect. All we want to do is
That's
connect.
right.
We're not trying to burn nothing down. Hello, January 6th.
Mm.
Not trying to burn nothing down. We're
No.
just trying to say, can we at least come in?
Mm.
Can you at least just let us in? That's all we want. We don't want anything else more than anyone else. So if I were to share with anyone, the younger people, is stay connected and create that history. Let that history move you forward.
And demand your recognition.
Come on.
Y'all better drop the wisdom bombs here.
Better show it.
Mm.
And stay
Yeah.
cultural.
No, there you go.
warriors.
It's your fault, Coco. It's your fault with that t-shirt.
Go on, Mr.
Can I
Bad.
shout out the t-shirt designer, at least where I got it?
Yes.
It's Fiera Studios. My girl, Maria Nieves, was wearing it on IG, and Fiera Studios.
Fiera Studios.
And remember who's
Yeah.
above my head.
That's right.
Catherine Dunham.
Ibaye. Ibaye.
Yeah.
Y'all, you know, we're at the, it's past time.
Yes.
No.
I know, no.
No, we right on time. I mean,
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
right on time.
I want to make sure Sitambile West is here, and hello to Halifu, Earl and Coco. She's sending the hey, and she's asking the question that we ask now: is anything coming up? What are you planning? And we got to move through this fast because we still have to close out.
Okay. Well, for myself, literally, as I said, as we speak, we're in the middle of maybe it's our last night for our inaugural Dances Activism Film Festival 2021. And you can learn more about it on our website at diversityofdance.org. And March 6th, 7th, we're also premiering a film called Unconquered, which has been a 5-month process of all of this, what we've been discussing, put together through voice, writing, dance, all of the above, all volunteering from lighting designers to all kinds of technicians, choreographers, dancers, coming together no matter what to say something is better than nothing. And we are not going to just lay down and fold up and be like, okay, we're gonna stop being artists. Okay, we're gonna stop sharing. Okay, we're gonna stop.
Nope.
We're not stopping.
Hello.
And they put Renee, who's working our chat. Renee, they put the link for this. Yes, Mama Nia, donate. Stuff in the link. All of your links were in the Dr. Halifu, all of your links were also in the chat. But yes, y'all, donate to the film festival.
Yes, please.
Dr. Halifu, Coco, anything coming up? Anything we missed?
Well,
Go ahead, Dr. Halifu.
I'm working on my memoir, so maybe look for 2022, Dancing in Blackness 2.
Come on.
And something's coming to me that I'm going to talk to you, Charmaine, about perhaps coming out of all of this Black dance stories, that we're going to hold some kind of national workshop, writing workshop for people to begin to be able to write their stories.
Oh, well, you heard Coco and Earl sign up already. And I think Zane Booker already in the chat said, so yes, that's another big to-do list.
Yes.
Miss Killingsworth.
Well, I'm talking to my sister in purpose here, Mama Charmaine. We have Dance Africa coming up at BAM, but in the virtual space, it's happening worldwide, and it is going to be beautiful, and we can't wait to share it with you. But that's what we've got coming up Memorial Day weekend. Stay tuned.
Yeah. All right, Maki.
Yes.
Take it away.
Reminder, BDS family that's watching, to like and comment on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share with your community, follow us on our social media so we can grow this ever growing beautiful community. Next week starts our March performer lineup, which will include Diane Walker, Gabby Krista, Giselle Mason, Jamal Story, Sidra Bell, Archie Burnett, Natasha Diamond Walker, and Travian Pollard. So just make sure to look out for our lineup on our social media and save Thursday evening dates. We'll see you next week.
Thursday evening dates. I love it. And as always, y'all, cheers, and go on out there and get into some good trouble.
Amen.
Good trouble.
Good
Ashe.
trouble.
Bye, everybody. See you next
Ashe.
week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, 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 bye.